keep coming back, all of Minneapolis. Please keep coming back. Also, so they get a lot of their money from the Minneapolis Chamber. Yep. And here's a tangent, which is apparently now a criminal enterprise. I'm overstating it, but like law enforcement authorities have been notified about the missing $500,000 at the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce. So congratulations to all of Minneapolis for having their power built on a throne of lies.
We're rolling. We're rolling.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.
Okay, we are back on the Wedge Live podcast with a post-primary wrap-up of elections that have just happened in Minneapolis. The DFL primary is over. Josh Martin is here. Thank you, Josh Martin.
Glad to be here.
We are both election judges, you and I met a new friend when I was election judging this year in my precinct. You know, during the slow times, because it's a primary. The morning was a real slow time. And I was making fun of him for reading Robert's rules, and we got to talking, and he has met you. I don't know how well you know each other. His name is Patrick. Does that ring a bell?
Just Patrick is not ringing any bells for me. If you had a last name.
Patrick McDougal. Okay.
No.
See, I
hope I have not offended this man.
It sounded like maybe he met you at an event once.
Like in passing. Okay.
Yeah, he's not claiming to be your best friend, just that he had met you once at an event and is apparently stalking you now. He wants to be you. He reads Robert's rules in public with no shame. Let's get the music ready, Josh, because we're about to go to breaking news with some election results.
All right.
By the time this episode airs, these election results will be nearly a week old, but it doesn't mean we can't play breaking news music.
That's right.
Okay, Josh, I'm hearing that we have results. The race has been called in the 5th congressional district in Minnesota, where Don Samuels was challenging Ilhan Omar for the second time in a row. Josh, give us the results.
That's right, John. We do have results. Ilhan Omar has won the 5th congressional district race with 56% of the vote, compared to Don Samuels with 43% of the vote, winning by a margin of over 16,000 votes, and a significant improvement since the 2022 race.
Okay, Josh, thank you for that. Not really a surprise, right? We're not surprised.
No, I don't think there's a surprise that Ilhan Omar won. I think depending on who you are, it may have been a larger margin than what some people expected. But certainly, I believe the general consensus was that Ilhan Omar was the front runner going into Tuesday.
And so I think Don got his hopes up after last time. It was really close, like a 2 percentage point loss that he had last time in 2022. I think 2022 was the perfect storm for him, and he would have a hard time replicating that because most people, so he claims his low name ID last time was a disadvantage. I would say it was an advantage, like people not knowing, not remembering who Don Samuels was. He was a council member 15 years ago, and he'd been on the school board, not well regarded in a lot of circles for the job he did. He had also had a failed campaign for mayor. I think it was good for him for people not to know who he was. The more he campaigned, the worse it got for him, I think, especially this time around. The she's not cute enough stuff just wouldn't go away, and he never had an answer for it. The fact that Ilhan did not take him seriously last time, didn't campaign, didn't spend money, like he snuck up, and that was good for him. Also, 2022 was on the heels of the 2021 crime-themed election in Minneapolis. So it made a little more sense. He's got this predisposition to talk about local issues as if he's running for mayor. And it made a little more sense in 2022 because we were still in the midst of the crime wave, the very hard-fought election in 2021 for city council and mayor, and the charter amendment, the public safety charter amendment. Just his campaign made less and less sense the further we got away from that, and he as a candidate just made less and less sense campaigning.
I think that's all right. I think certainly the big difference is that Ilhan Omar's campaign took the campaign much more seriously this time, didn't leave anything to chance. And did a lot of organizing across the 5th Congressional District, which I think we see from the improved results.
Josh, I saw a photo of you the night of when we got the results back. Mm-hmm. You were hugging Ilhan Omar?
That's correct. So I believe Taylor took that photo. I was at the Ilhan Omar victory party. I headed over there after I was done with all my election judge duties. And when Congresswoman Omar arrived, she was hugging a lot of people. Like I was just one of the many people in the line of Ilhan Omar hugs. Okay.
Well, how are people supposed to take you seriously as an analyst now that you have hugged the Congresswoman?
It's an excellent question, but I think I've never made any secret of my political leanings generally or my thoughts on this race, so okay. I think people can take me as seriously or not seriously as they did prior to the hug.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the numbers. This is your real specialty, Josh, is the cold, hard numbers, the spreadsheets.
That's right.
The Google Docs. You are known for your Google Docs.
My Google Docs.
So my first question, where were Ilhan's percentages up? Like I get the impression I've looked at them. They were up basically everywhere except Edina. Am I right?
The only city where Samuels gained was Edina by 1 point. And it looked like it was flat in Crystal, and then every other city Ilhan gained. And we can certainly look at it at other levels of granularity if you want. I've got it by city, ward, precinct, Senate district, and House district.
What are her top 3 wards?
If we look at top wards by percentage, that would be wards 6, 9, and 8 in that order. If you look at top wards by raw vote margin, then it's wards 12, 8, and 9 in that order. Ward 12 makes up for the fact that it has slightly lower Ilhan Omar support by the fact that it has higher turnout.
Ward 12 is an underrated progressive bastion.
Yep,
I think.
Absolutely.
It was in 21 and probably will continue to be so. What were her worst wards in Minneapolis?
The worst wards for Ilhan Omar in Minneapolis were by percentage were wards 13, 7, and 11 in that order. Ward 13 is the only ward in Minneapolis that Don Samuels won. He won that with 56% of the vote. And it's those are also high turnout areas, so it's the same if you look at raw vote margin, still 13, 7, and 11.
How did she do in North Minneapolis, wards 4 and 5?
So Ward 4, Ilhan won 63% of the vote, and Ward 5, Ilhan won 68% of the vote. Also, both of those wards were some of her highest growth areas. Ilhan improved her performance in Ward 4 by 11 points. And in Ward 5 by 13 points. Also, not North Minneapolis, but she improved her performance in Ward 6 by 13 points as well. Those are the 3 wards in Minneapolis where the improvement in performance was in the double digits for percentage points.
So these might be places where running a vigorous campaign as compared to last time around helped the most because they are traditionally lower turnout places. So there's just a whole lot of votes you can go and get if you campaign for them, right?
I think that's right. And certainly I think that Ward 6 in particular was probably, it was already a base of Ilhan Omar support, but turnout was a little lower there in 22. So there was the ability to turn out more voters there with a little bit of outreach by the campaign.
And let's talk about even year elections again, as we always do on this podcast. Maybe not what the anti-progressive faction in Minneapolis is hoping for. I think this is another data point in my argument that maybe it's not what they are hoping for, because run a progressive campaign in an even year, even when it's a primary. I don't know. This is a good Samuels versus Omar is kind of the trial run of all of Minneapolis versus the progressives. And turns out not even in Ward 4 does that work out well for you.
The only thing with that is primaries do have relatively low turnout and are maybe closer to municipal elections than they are to like the general election turnout for even years. So we'd be able to see a better example of that in actual even year general election. So like Mary Moriarty in 2022 might be a better data point.
Though, like, if you run the Samuels-Omar election in a general election setting, let's say he's running as an independent or something, I think she would win.
Or if we had like a jungle primary like they have in some states.
Or ranked choice or something.
Yep.
She would win. I think she would win by a larger margin. No?
Well, we get more Republican crossover because if they...
But if turnout is up more, exactly you have many more Democrats than Republicans in this district. So
yeah, it's interesting thought experiment. I'm not sure. I think you'd still win. I don't know if the margin would be smaller or larger. Like there would probably be more young people turning out and other low turnout groups, which would benefit Ilhan Omar. But if theoretically in a system where they were the only candidates on the ballot, right, where if it was like a top two primary, then probably even more Republican voters would vote for Samuels.
I noticed a real crush of voters. The early part of the day really had me worried because it was so slow. And I've got the memory of a flea, and I can't recall what it was in 2022. Did I even work the election in 2022? Yep. But it was so slow. I'm like, oh, this may be a problem. But like steady lines later in the day. Especially in 10-1, the precinct that was a part of 61A. I was in 10-2. South Wedge. North Wedge is actually in 61A, where the competitive House District election was. And just incredible lines in the North Wedge.
We didn't have quite wedge level of turnout in 10-7 where I was working, but certainly like the turnout did pick up quite a bit. 10-7 is in Whittier. Turnout did pick up quite a bit. Like after work hours were over.
So any other statistical items of note?
Well, I thought you might be interested to know that one of the top precincts for a raw margin for Ilhan Omar was the Wedge, 10-1, behind only the highest was 6-3, which was Cedar Riverside, then 9-2, which is Powderhorn Park, and then 10-1, which is most of the Wedge.
Yeah, the Wedge dominates.
And then both Kingfield precincts are right after that. We can both have some neighborhood pride there.
The Wedge is the dominant neighborhood in Minneapolis. We control the result of all elections. The margin was so large in the Wedge that Don Samuels could have won every other precinct. Tell me if I'm right. And still she would have won.
No, that's not. It's not quite that large.
We are a Kowloon walled city. That's how many people we have in the Wedge. It's just a urban disaster, but we have all the votes and we control all the levers of power. Okay, we can move on to 61A now that we've finished praising the wedge.
All right. Well, you'll have more opportunity to praise the wedge here.
Yeah. Wait, we're going to the CNN breaking news music. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Josh, I'm hearing that we have results in the race for Minnesota House of Representatives in 61A.
That's right, John. In 61A, there was a three-way DFL primary after no candidate won the endorsement at the DFL convention between Katie Jones, Will Stansel, and Isabel Rolfes. And at the end, Katie Jones won with 43% of the vote, followed by Will Stansel with 36%, and then Isabel Rolfes coming in third with 20% of the vote.
Was that the only competitive House or basically legislative race in Minneapolis this year, or were there others?
That was the only competitive primary in Minneapolis this year. There was one other district in Minneapolis where that looked like a possibility. Representative Hoden Hassan was retiring or is retiring in District 62B, my district. But that ended up getting resolved at the convention. Anam Mahmoud won the endorsement there, and the other candidates dropped out and did not run in the primary. That did not happen in 61A, so you got to have a fun competitive primary.
Yeah, haven't seen that in all my time in the wedge. Competitive race for a legislative seat. So congratulations, Katie Jones. I endorse Katie and think she will be an outstanding legislator. Really worked so hard, won the endorsement of so many great supporters, really proved herself. And this will be a great setup for her. I was talking to some people who were like, you know, it's probably for the best that she didn't win the city council race in 2021. And my thoughts are, yeah, that's a terrible job. That's a lot of abuse to take. And, you know, just there's a whole lot of issues, whether it's climate and transportation and all those other issues. She's so smart, such a hard worker. She's going to be really good at that, and that's a great place for her. So congratulations to her. Hard-fought victory in a three-way race. Had Will Stansel's posting to contend with. Lisa Goodman and all of Minneapolis stepping in, trying to wield their power. Didn't work. And do you have any initial remarks on 61A, Josh?
I'm also excited to see Katie Jones heading to the legislature. Think she'll do a great job there. I think it was a somewhat surprising result. As much as I would like to point to the things I said on our preview podcast about how voters sometimes vote in unexpected ways. So therefore we shouldn't trust the conventional wisdom that there'd be that Jones and Rolfes would split the vote. But I did not listen to my own advice, and I predicted privately that Stansel would win, but I was wrong.
So I know how hard Katie works, and so I was optimistic she would win. But like you're right, the conventional wisdom, the straightforward analysis says two sort of progressive candidates splitting the vote against Stansel and the Goodman endorsement and all of Minneapolis and the ferocious turnout from the Kenwood neighborhood. Who could stand up to that? Stansel had a pretty clear path, about as good a setup as you could hope for, aside from his tweets coming back to haunt him. You know, have two progressives splitting the vote. You inherit the moderate vote. He didn't even have to campaign like an asshole. He didn't have to run Scott Graham's resentment campaign to try to win them over. Just kind of let Lisa Goodman do the talking for him. Kind of a surprising result, but again, I think Katie ran a really excellent campaign.
Yeah, and I think to some extent, my understanding is there may have been some consolidation, that some Rolfes supporters who did not care for the idea of Will Stansel being in the legislature may have switched their support to Jones in order to block Stansel. But I do think it's also possible that maybe some people we didn't expect decided to support Katie Jones rather than Will Stancil.
Oh, you think she won over some Stancil supporters?
I'm not necessarily saying that, but won over some people that people might assume would be Will Stancil supporters based on the conventional wisdom of how that race lined up.
Yeah. One thing that didn't help him was that like Star Tribune article in the closing days. I think the online headline was like, oh God, I'm forgetting what it was like internet celebrity.
Yeah.
He called him an internet celebrity in the headline.
Yeah, and he was kind of trying to distance himself from his Twitter persona, so he probably wasn't a fan of that or the other articles that brought that to everyone's attention.
Yeah, I don't know that you can do that because his fundraising relied so heavily on his online celebrity, and that makes people take you seriously. They say, wow, this guy has raised a lot of money. He can win. I'm going to support him. You cannot separate. That'd be like if I ran for something and it was like Wedge Live. What's that? Right. Cat Tour?
Don't think that would work very well.
Well, I mean, maybe in the past I've been affiliated with Cat Tours, but that is totally not what I'm known for. I'm totally an offline guy. So that didn't really work. And then I think the print edition of that article, I don't know, it controversialized him in a way that probably turned off a lot of Goodman types in Ward 7, though he like cleaned up in Kenwood. Maybe I'm wrong. Yep. It's like I feel like those people are naturally skeptical of the young people, anyone involved with social media and battling it out in the replies. Probably leaves a bad taste in the mouth of like a 60-year-old, 70-year-old mansion dweller.
I found the article you're referring to. Yeah, it says internet celebrity colors one state House primary in Minneapolis. Are the residents of House District 61A chronically online, or is this another case of Twitter is not real life?
Yeah, that was a really bad outcome for him. That being said, Josh, you know, I don't mind Stancil. I don't even mind the campaign he ran. He did that mailer where he like highlighted the Reconstruction, even though he's saying, no, this is not a reference to the Reconstruction. Like he was teasing the idea that like, oh, do you hate the fact that Hennepin Avenue is being reconstructed? So do I. I'm with you. Sure. I'm a NIMBY just like you. I don't think he is, but he was definitely toying with that. But still, I think like a substantive campaign, people who were qualified, there was no candidate I despised in this race. And that's a good sign for a district that is mostly Ward 7. So good job, democracy. Again, that being said, there was just no signal to voters that he had progressive support. I think that was one problem. He didn't have anything. He had Goodman and the 80-year-old retired legislators behind him, but nothing on his endorsement list was like giving the cue to voters like, this is my guy. He is also progressive. He filled the anti-progressive lane, even though I don't think he ran a campaign that could be really characterized that way. One more question. Is all of Minneapolis, so they came out and endorsed him at the end. That wasn't good for him.
I wouldn't say they technically endorsed him. They kind of came to his defense after some attacks, but they tried to say they did not endorse anyone. Karen Birkeland of all of Minneapolis in her personal capacity did endorse Will Stancil.
The lady who writes the All of Minneapolis newsletters.
Correct.
Donated to Stancil. Josh, you're being too fair. There's no way to read that email other than as an endorsement. They're beating up on our guy Stancil. Is basically what it said. This is so unfair. Is all of Minneapolis like useful at this point? I am constantly surprised they don't like fold up and like reform as a group with a different name, because I'm starting to think like their brand is diminished and not helpful.
I mean, they don't seem to agree with that analysis. They don't seem to be going anywhere since the last time we talked about this. It's hard to say. I think like any of those IEs or any candidate, they're going to be helpful in some areas and not helpful in other areas. On net, are they good or bad for, Jacob Frey and his allies? I guess we'll find out again after the next election.
Because they lost in 7 and 12 last time. They won in
Correct.
Ward 8, and I don't even know. Like, Ward 8, they're definitely not helpful.
They won very narrowly in Ward 8. I think I would agree they were not helpful in Ward 8. And
So they
maybe
won despite themselves
despite
in
all
Ward
of
8.
Minneapolis.
So I can't think of anything they have won, really, since 2021. So, I don't know. Keep coming back, all of Minneapolis. Please. Please keep coming back. Also, so they get a lot of their money from the Minneapolis Chamber.
Yep.
And here's a tangent, which is apparently now a criminal enterprise. I'm overstating it, but like law enforcement authorities have been notified about the missing $500,000 at the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce. So congratulations to all of Minneapolis for having their power built on a throne of lies.
Yeah, well, and regardless of any legal issues, which I don't know that we can draw any firm conclusions from
The
yet,
authorities have been called,
Sure.
Josh. The
No, I
authorities have been
understand, but
called.
I'm just saying, aside from the legal issues, even if nothing necessarily illegal happened, it doesn't seem just like good financial planning to be giving all that money to all of Minneapolis when apparently the chamber had significant financial troubles of its own.
It's true. Yeah. Flushing all that money away when you have financial difficulties, not smart.
Yep.
Let's talk about the data.
Okay.
So the thing that stood out to me is like the wide gap. So Stancil had 65% in Kenwood, by far his strongest precinct. If you look at the wedge, he had like 18%. It's such a wide gap between where he was strongest and weakest. Whereas I think Katie's spread was mostly between that like 40 and 50% range. I think she had one where she was in the 20s, but like pretty steady support levels throughout. His was very concentrated, especially in Kenwood.
In Kenwood, she gets down to 27%. Other than that, the next lowest is 37%, and then the high end, it's at 52%.
Is there anything we can glean? So you mentioned, here's another nice data point, if you follow Josh on Twitter, that even without the wedge, even without that portion of North Minneapolis that's in 61A, if you only include the Ward 7 precincts,
Yep.
she still would have won. It would have been a lot narrower, but it still would have won. So maybe something to look at for a future city council election in 2025.
Correct. Yeah. If you include only the Ward 7 precincts, then the margin would have been Katie Jones' victory by 60 votes.
And a warning to Katie Cashman and all of those who love her. That's going to be a tough, hard-fought campaign. People in 61A, I have heard, are super amped up. There is some council resentment. Everyone's concerned about crime and livability and uptown revitalization. So gear up, gird your loins. Taylor, I say that to you, gird your loins, because you are in Ward 7 and this is on you for the city elections in 2025.
That's right.
Taylor is joining us because we've entered the tabloid gossip portion. I forgot to tell people at the top of the show to expect tabloid gossip segment at the end with Taylor. It would have kept people around long enough.
It's a surprise then for people who stuck around.
Yeah, a pleasant surprise. Welcome, Taylor.
Thank you.
First of all, what is the biggest 61A gossip you have to offer us?
Okay, well, it's not related to really any of the candidates, but I learned that Timberwolves star Naz Reid is a 61A resident.
Really? Who did he vote for?
I don't know. His vote was in play, though. He was phone banked by a campaign. They didn't get, I don't think he picked up, but I guess he lives in 61A. So we had the Naz Reid vote in play, and I wish he would have endorsed.
I don't know. I don't know who picks up their phone. I don't know how phone banking works. I definitely never pick up my phone. Although I did pick up for Isabel a couple of times. It was like, I think the only campaign that called me on the phone was Isabel's campaign. Very, very pleasant telephone demeanor. Just very personable. Made a good impression on me.
Yeah, and another thing that I don't think I've seen this publicly mentioned anywhere yet, but Jacob Frey did offer his endorsement to Will Stansel, and it was declined.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bad sign for the mayor. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to
I agree.
calculate in my head, like who would I more likely accept, Lisa Goodman or Jacob Frey? I guess in 61A it has to be Goodman is the bigger get and
I think so.
the more influential person. I wonder why he turned down Frey's endorsement. I wonder if he regrets that.
I don't know. I think I do think it is you're right. It's a bad sign for Jacob that he's being treated as kind of so toxic that maybe a 61A candidate who is, on the Lisa Goodman side doesn't want his endorsement. So I thought that was an interesting one, and I was actually really impressed that Will, turned it down and didn't want to do it.
Wow, that's juicy gossip, Taylor. Thanks for coming on for the celebrity gossip
And of course,
segment.
I also want to mention how it's not really gossip. People know this now. I knew before it was public, but Scott Graham supporting Isabel Rolfes. Big shock. Big surprise. So,
do we know why? That is maybe the biggest. Oh, you have a Scott Graham mug.
I do.
Yeah.
It was a gift. I didn't buy this. It was a gift. From what I heard, he just felt that she could work with the Republican side the best. I guess he has doesn't like Katie Jones, was kind of indifferent to Will Stansel, but really liked Isabel. So between that and, last night in the Progressive Caucus meeting, which I don't know if you guys discussed that, but Scott did support the resolution to honor Ilhan Omar winning, and he said he was thrilled to have elected her. So I don't know. I guess with those two moves, I'm like, Scott, what are you doing? You're kind of impressing me right now.
Taylor, you have to take my side, because before we started recording this episode, I was like, Josh, tell me what happened at the Progressive Caucus meeting. He's like, no, my lips are sealed. You can't even air what we have already discussed. He had me cut a whole long section of conversation where he wasn't telling me anything but let's not talk about it. That's how bothered he is about me trying to get him to talk about it. So Taylor, you have to take my side and help me talk about this.
I missed the majority. I came in at the end, but even then they had been going for 90 minutes and nothing was accomplished. So I basically left once the director position. It was just a bloodbath, honestly. It was.
So to set it up for listeners who must know less about this than I do, DFL Progressive Caucus is a statewide thing, right, Taylor? Josh, you're not a part of this. I'm looking at Taylor here.
Yes, it's statewide.
It's a statewide caucus. I've never heard of it before because I pay attention to local politics, and they have not, as far as I know, have not endorsed in local races before. So it's a mystery to me why this is suddenly a huge local fight and why the worst people in Minneapolis want to take over the Progressive Caucus. And I have heard it's about they want to make endorsements next year. And I am skeptical that those endorsements will really matter because it's a caucus. It's just one endorsement of many. And word will get out that, who's involved with this? They're your least favorite people in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. Big endorsement there. And people who are not really progressive, I'm not even saying this in a mean way, just objectively, maybe arguably Republican, some of them. It's very odd. Taylor, do you have any more backstory that can help people understand this?
The Progressive Caucus? I think the attempted takeover of it is exactly what kind of the same group of people did last year with the Feminist Caucus as well. When they brought the Feminist Caucus back, it ended up being a very similar thing where it was in private Facebook groups, the more moderate side was talking about launching a takeover, and then the socialist side was doing their own. So it's just this nonstop battle between the moderates and the socialists. And I don't know, I feel it's partially about endorsements, but I also wonder if it's just we just want to ruin what you have going. We want to obstruct this. Because it's like, you can go build something. I mean, why don't you go go do something of your own? Go have ideas. But instead it's just like shutting down something that already exists. And
it makes me lose respect for people I already had very little respect for. It's like, was this the best use of your time? Meanwhile, I'm watching the Zoom meeting. I'm not participating. I'm not trying to be a voting member, but I'm watching.
Yeah.
Who am I to say, look at you wasting your time on this garbage? But like, really, you got nothing better to do?
I mean, even the GFL chair, Ken Martin, was in the meeting.
Right. That's how bad it got.
The big wig was there.
To make sure no one got murdered over Zoom.
It was, it was intense.
Yeah. Just only join clubs where you like the other people who are involved, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or start your own. I mean, I don't know.
And it's so much more effective building power outside. This is where I get skeptical of like party politics, especially for local stuff, because there's so much bad blood and sniping and everyone hates each other. Go ahead and build power outside of it. Like, people shit on the DSA nonstop, but like, I don't know, they're building something. Maybe they all like each other and maybe they get more done that way. I don't know. Just everyone form their own little group and try and get along. Stay away from the people you don't like. Taylor, was it you who speculated to me about Scott Dibble retiring? Josh, you can come back in now.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember where I've been hearing that, but so I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that. But yeah, I've heard that he may be retiring as well next year. So
maybe another competitive legislative race. I'm not encouraging Scott Dibble to retire. That's so the Senate district is more conservative than 61A, the House race that we just saw, because it includes like Linden Hills, all of that southwest part of Minneapolis. It's Jamie Long's district. So that would be a fun race to watch. I think if Will Stancil ran for that one, he would be the progressive candidate. Just undisputably the progressive candidate.
Yeah, and I wonder if we'll see Isabel Rolfes running again. I mean, it could just be
rematch.
Yeah, it could be rematch. It could be. I'd be very curious about that because those two, the Isabel and Will campaigns were like very friendly with each other pretty much throughout the whole race.
They could run for representative and vice representative.
Yeah.
Ticket.
Yeah. Everybody wins.
Josh, have you heard anything?
I mean, I think Taylor might have been the person I heard this from, so I don't know. That
Taylor,
you're
trying to make
Am
this happen. This is not a real rumor. It's just Taylor trying to.
No, I heard it.
Power broke.
Frank and Scott are kind of a pair. I think I can see him going. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember where I heard this, but I feel like I've heard it from a couple people now. So
as transportation chairs in the House and Senate, they just all take the train out together. Yeah.
Taylor, are you saying Dibble and Hornstein are like two old dogs, and when one of them goes, the other one can't last much longer? Is that what you're saying?
Oh God. Yeah, but they're going to a farm.
Okay.
They're not dying. They're going
It's
to
okay.
a nice farm somewhere.
Hornstein is still out there. He's still with us. He's doing fine.
Yeah.
He's enjoying his life. Technically still a representative.
Yeah.
So, do we talk about the Alex Min group chat story that really was a blessing in the final days of this election? Just Alex Min getting his due as the clown, as the demented clown that he is in a story in The Intercept. Taylor, tell us about it.
Yeah, so I mean, The Intercept, they have no background on who this guy is or on all that he's done, and they uncovered Alex as a representative of the Don Samuels campaign in a Telegram group chat, I believe, with some very bad people. I don't know if there were outright neo-Nazis in the group chat, but absolutely they're like collaborators with neo-Nazis who wanted Don to win and just wanted Ilhan to lose. And so Alex, I guess, was talking to them and trying to make some forms of alliances with these people.
And the implication is he's coordinating. There's like talk of a super PAC in this WhatsApp group chat and like, can you donate? So it's like, it's on the line of, did the Samuels campaign coordinate with this super PAC to funnel contributions and like discuss messaging? So I don't know that I can say they did, but it certainly looks like a possibility.
They can't find how Alex was paid.
They can't find how he was paid by the Samuels campaign?
Nope. And I wasn't sure if he was even on this year because in 2022 he was on, and I knew that partially because Don was renting an office from Alex's dad, Steve Minn's property. But this year, Don's offices were in the Loring Corners property in Loring Park. So I wondered if maybe that was like, well, if he's not in like a Steve Minn property, maybe that means Alex isn't involved. But, you know, of course he is. He should have known.
Right. And he appeared on a YouTube show in early August with Don Samuels. He was one of the talking heads in this YouTube show next to Samuels as like a member of the campaign. And then like less than a week later in this article, statement from Joe Radinovich, no, Alex Minn, no, he doesn't work here, not anymore.
Yeah.
And to clarify on the Nazi thing,
Yeah,
the
thank
full
you.
story is it's a big donor. I think he gave like $10,000 to this anti-Ilhan PAC this year. And his argument was, I am so fed up with Democrats writ large, the Democratic ticket for president, basically. And it was like tangential to Samuels, not specific to the CD5 race. Democrats are so bad that we need to team up with Nazis this year to defeat the Democrats, basically, was his argument. He's not a Nazi. He's just a guy who hates Democrats so much this year. I think based on the Israel-Gaza stuff, Democrats are so bad on that. It wasn't even related to Omar. It was like, I don't know if it was a reference to Biden Harris or Harris Walls. I don't know when the conversation took place, but like, yeah, the lesser of two evils are the Nazis here.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, just him being involved in that was just like, you know, the last time he hasn't bugged me in a while, but the last time he popped up was last fall when I was at a rally for Palestine, and I took a picture of what I did not realize was the Hamas flag. No idea. Yeah. Posted it. No idea that's what it was. And he pops up and starts once again emailing every single person at my work, trying to get me fired for this. So, you know, it's just like, so you were thinking I'm, you know, just like, it's just confusing behavior. Like, you're mad at me because you're in group
chat collaborating with Nazis potentially. And
he's a Jewish man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's shocking. I think even for him that would go this low. I mean, you know, he's harassed so many of us over the years, but this is just really kind of beyond the pale.
Master of sock puppets. The whole Minn family is a master of sock puppets. His dad is a former council member and now developer. It pulled the whole sock puppet trick on a fellow developer that he was mad at, like was bashing him using a fake email address, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Multiple.
Which came out. And his son grew up to do the same on behalf of the Mickey Moore campaign, the very clownish Mickey Moore campaign in 2021.
Yep.
So Taylor and I are the only people in Minneapolis who have fond memories of the Mickey Moore campaign.
I think Jason does too, maybe. That was a fun time.
The only campaign maybe ever who's had their endorsement retracted by the Star Tribune. And it will forever be that way because they're no longer making endorsements.
I've been really surprised that they didn't do Don Samuels as just like a parting shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess he's also that toxic. They won't touch him.
No Frey endorsement for Samuels this time around. Samuels really, all his friends abandoned him this year. No one was willing to go out on a limb for him.
Pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, his endorsements page mysteriously disappeared shortly after it was put up. Which I don't know exactly what happened there, but probably nothing good. And I know all of this stuff about the coordination with Alex Minn came out shortly after like a lot of other interesting endorsements the Don Samuels campaign would rather not talk about, such as Republican activist Laura Loomer and U.S. Senate candidate Royce White and Nasri Warsami. Back in the news. And I don't know that we have any evidence that the Samuels campaign sought out any of that. But I think certainly a lot of DFL voters looked at that and were like, what's up with that? should I vote for this person?
There's definitely a vibe of this is the Republican choice in the DFL primary, and that's going to turn some people off.
Yeah, we were lucky that their attempts of getting Republicans to come out and vote for Don failed, probably because we just don't have many in CD5 to even come out.
And we recorded the pre-primary episode, and we were talking about his lack of endorsements, I think. And then I did a tweet. I quote tweeted Joe Rudinovich because it became a controversy that Ilhan had posted a message in support of Tim Walz. And they were like, this is terrible. You can't claim an endorsement like this. And it was a message saying, Tim Walz, isn't he great? I'm with him. And sure, it's like, here's a picture of me with Tim Walz, the internet sensation. Sure, there was that element of it, but nowhere in it did it say, thanks for your endorsement, Tim. And so I tweeted something about how the Samuels campaign was couldn't find anyone willing to be associated with them. They don't even have an endorsement page. And then I noticed, oh shit, I'm wrong. They do have an endorsement page. I thought, egg on my face. And then it gets deleted because apparently, yes, everyone on the list was too embarrassed to be associated with Don Samuels. They must have asked them to take it down. So it was a very stressful day for me, worrying that I had been spreading misinformation. Josh, you ran into trouble with your Google Docs too. You revised your Google Docs to reflect his endorsements. And then you had to totally delete it.
Yep. I updated my Google Docs because I wanted to be fair to him. Apparently he had some endorsements now, so I made sure I updated the Google Doc to reflect all his new endorsements. And then his endorsements page disappeared. So then I updated it so that it only linked to any ones that he had posted about separately from the endorsements page. So I could show evidence, or someone had posted about separately from the endorsements page. So I could show evidence that these endorsements had happened.
And it never came back, right? The endorsements page never came back.
Never came back.
R.I.P.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I guess just an endorsements page with former DFL chairs and Martha Holton Dimmick and Shep Harris on it might not have been too impressive.
Ron Latz.
Ron Latz was on the endorsements page originally, but there was never any other post by that. So we can't prove that Ron Latz endorsed Don Samuels.
True.
Maybe it was a simple...
We might suspect, though.
Decommissioning a WordPress page. Maybe they just pressed unpublish in 2022 on the old endorsements page and pressed republish and then realized, oh, maybe we should check with these people. And it snowballed from there.
But there were changes made to the page since 2022. It wasn't like the old endorsements page just magically reappeared. Titles had been updated, people who had been held elected office at the time, they were updated to say former.
Yeah.
There were people who weren't on the list before that weren't on the list now. There were people who weren't on the list before who were on the list now. So it's not quite that simple.
Don Samuels no longer, and maybe never, had the stature to strong arm people into endorsing him. They definitely will speak up. It's maybe with someone with more power could put out a list, and then you'd be like, I don't know if I want to call and make this powerful person upset by saying, please take me off your list. Don Samuels is not that person. That's got to feel bad, though. Don't we feel bad for Don Samuels? No?
Not particularly.
Okay. Taylor, I was giving Josh a hard time for being photographed while hugging the reelected Congress person, Ilhan Omar. No, he can't be an objective analyst anymore on the Wedge Live podcast after something like that, can he?
Sorry.
You were the photographer, right?
I was. I saw that happen. But to be fair, it was Ilhan approaching him.
It's true.
Yeah. It was not Josh.
Okay.
So
That's correct.
Yep.
Wow. And Josh, the implication from you was she didn't recognize you. You were just a random guy that she was hugging. Taylor,
I didn't say she
impression?
didn't. I don't think I went quite so far as to say she didn't recognize me. I
That was
just
the
said that
implication, Josh.
I was one of many people that Ilhan hugged.
It was like a drive-by hugging. She was just pulled out her hug machine gun and was hugging everyone all in a spraying
I mean,
motion.
Taylor, you were there. Would you describe it?
She was, yeah. I mean,
There were a lot of hugs. It was an emotional moment. It was a party.
It was. Yeah, she hugged me too later, and but I do suspect that she probably knows who you are. Just because when she hugged me, she did ask about another Twitter person. She said her husband was wanting to know the real identity of another Twitter person, who I will not.
Oh, you're not going to name.
Oh, interesting.
But so she and Tim absolutely are lurkers on Twitter, or I know Tim is for sure, but I think she has an idea too. So I would bet that she knows you, Josh.
Does anyone ever ask you what Josh Martin's real identity is? Like that can't be a real person. That is a stock image of a guy. Obviously, this is anonymous.
And my real name.
He's AI generated. He's a hologram.
It's like the crowds at the Harris campaigns. Clearly, I must just be AI generated.
No, nobody could produce this many Google Docs. It is clearly the product of an AI.
It's true.
Any more gossip, Taylor?
So you and I have both made this comparison. You did it years before me, and I had no idea. Jamie Long looks just like Billy Eichner.
It's true.
Just like it.
Yes.
I'm told he doesn't want to lean into that.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to make fun of it,
I don't get it at all.
Me neither. Like, it'd be a perfect, like, fun campaign thing. Jamie on the street. Like,
yes.
It's perfect. So I don't know what that's all about, but I kind of wish he would.
There's got to be like somebody on his campaign now who has been like pushing for him to do that for the longest time and is going like, see, Taylor knows.
I knew first. I did three tweets about it so many years ago.
And it's the exact same pictures I pulled up without even realizing it.
Yes. Taylor and I both landed on this independently with no knowledge. It got zero traction.
Yeah, I definitely see it.
I expected someone's going to jump on this. It's going to become super viral in a hyper local sense. No traction. It makes me think this guy is humorless. No sense of humor. It makes me concerned.
Sad. I know, because I feel like that's just such an easy like way to get people to. And I know people are urging him to, or want him to like kind of lean into it. And I think it'd be really fun when he goes up for re-election to just do it, because it's like, and who's going to run against him? I think he'll be unopposed anyway. So
yeah, everybody loves Billy Eichner, and it's hilarious because I don't even think his personality is as boisterous as Billy Eichner.
No.
So it's great. It's hilarious. He needs to grow a sense of humor.
Yes.
Otherwise, he won't be long for his majority leader job or whatever he does at the legislature.
That's right. Jamie Long, listen to us.
Yeah. Taylor and I agree. Josh, do you agree with us?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Even Josh agrees.
It's unanimous.
Is that it? That was a good one, Taylor. Thank you for remembering that. Taylor, we covered some data from the elections earlier. I don't know if you were here for it. Do you have any burning questions?
Just kind of when I came on, you guys were talking about like Cashman's chances in next year. And so that's kind of why I was really following Josh's results closely, because I'm really concerned about her chances. So yeah, I've been following that.
Well, I guess the one thing that would maybe make someone feel a little better about Cashman's chances next year is the fact that, in 61A, this wasn't a two-way race. This was a three-way race.
Right.
And, if you were to combine the Jones and Rolfes votes, which you would think might be, people generally favorable towards Katie Cashman, then that would be not quite as close a race.
Right. That is your universe of people who could potentially support Cashman is Rolfes plus Jones.
Yeah. And also, even Will Stansel, Will Stansel is not Scott Graham by any means. Yeah. So I think even a fair number of Will Stansel supporters.
So you're saying it's 100, the universe of potential Cashman supporters is 100%, Josh. That's a very useful data.
I don't know if I would go that far, but I'm saying that certainly probably some of Will Stansel supporters also support Katie Cashman.
I mean, Will himself did. He door knocked for Katie last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
All three of them
And
supported volunteers.
I don't even know that he was a Goodman supporter. Of course, he doesn't like tweet about local politics. I don't think he supported her when she was council member.
No, and he also people were like giving him shit about this the day after the election, being like, "Will, did you vote for Ilhan Omar?" And it's like, yes, he voted for Ilhan at convention. He was a delegate, and he caucused for her. So yeah, he's absolutely an Ilhan supporter.
Well, Josh, I hope you appreciate the fact that you really stomped on our analysis here by saying maybe it's Will Stansel's supporters too, because that's not as interesting a thing to say 100% of the district is potentially a Katie Cashman supporter. That's not interesting.
Well, I'm sure that the Katie Cashman campaign would hope that interpretation is true. That doesn't feel right based on the 2023 results, but we'll find out next year.
What is Rolfez plus Jones? What was that number? In Ward 7
in just
only.
Ward 7? Let's see. So Rolfez plus Jones in Ward 7 would be 59% of the Ward 7 vote.
And comparing to the 2021, or let's make it 2023 turnout, like what is Ward 7 turnout in the primary, say it's 61A, versus 2023 city election turnout?
Total votes cast was 8,000 in 23 in Ward 7, and then total votes cast in this primary was in Ward 7 only was 7,125. So a little lower, but comparable.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, and I forgot. No, Will was not a Goodman supporter. He was a big Yana Flistron guy.
Yeah, I remember seeing him at the Ward 7 convention in 2017. And
Oh, wow.
I assumed he wasn't a Goodman person then.
Yeah. Good memory.
Yeah, Lisa Goodman, come on. You wasted your support on somebody who doesn't even like you. Well, that's the thing. When people adopt you as their mascot and say good things about you, I feel like maybe they turned him. You think they turned him, Taylor?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
I think he's still a progressive. Or, I mean, I don't know. People will get mad at me for saying that, but he personally does support progressive candidates.
He
hasn't
goes
gone
crazy on Twitter. He just goes crazy.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I'm sympathetic to that because, quite frankly, I can be really annoying online as well. I don't. He has not gone to the Jacob Frey side. I can tell you that much.
I didn't appreciate it when I heard that he and Goodman were complaining about me to 61A bigwigs. I didn't appreciate that because
All of us.
I had nothing to do with sending your tweets through the mail, Will Stansel. Nothing to do with it. Wasn't me.
Josh, what were you saying?
Oh, well, I guess now I should also go on record that I had nothing to do with sending any tweets through the mail.
Oh, me neither.
But I was just going to say, Taylor, I don't think you need to worry about being canceled. You're beloved on Twitter, as far as I can tell from today.
Yeah, Taylor, you know what the difference is between you and Will Stansel?
What?
You could send your tweets through the mail, you would gain support. You wouldn't lose support, you would gain support.
Isabel and Will were both supporting Taylor today. Unity candidate for 61A right here.
No, it's looking through the names of that. I'm just like, wow. It's like you got Jason Chavez next to Tim Peterson. Like,
Did Tim Peterson tweet in support of you?
He donated.
Oh, jeez.
It's a common name. There might be more than one Tim Peterson. Do we know for sure it's the same Tim Peterson?
Judging by the person who told me about it, I'm pretty sure it's him. Jason can see the anonymous donations. I'm not going to name any of those people, but I was absolutely shocked at some of the names coming from the more moderate side, I guess. People who I just blew my mind, honestly.
It's getting to the point where you can't be mean to anyone anymore, Taylor, because they stick up for you in your time of need.
I know one person in particular. I'm like, all right, I'm going to lay off you for a bit. I'm not
totally transactional, Taylor.
And I mean, occasionally we do have these moments where we realize, hey, we're all human beings here, and we
Right.
can support each other in a time of need, even if we have political differences.
Totally.
Maybe there's hope for our politics yet.
Yeah.
You know who I wouldn't stick up for in their time of need?
Who?
Alex Min. I totally would not stick up
No.
for him in his time of
Him
need.
or Don, I don't think. I think Don Samuels, just with the whole child thing and the callousness, it's very hard to ever find some sympathy for that guy.
That's good. We should end on a note where we are talking about the people we would never come to their aid. It's a good way to end.
Yep.
I tried to end on a hopeful note, and John said no.
This has been the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Taylor Darlene. Thank you to Josh Martin. And we'll see you next time.
Time to say goodbye. Horizons are never far. Would I have to find them alone? Without true lights of my own, with you, I will go. On ships overseas that I now know, no, they don't exist anymore. It's time to say